going down, everybody? So we're going to do Saturn through the areas of life, the 7th through the 12th house. When you have Saturn in the 7th house, it's exalted here. So with Saturn being exalted in the 7th house, there's a lot of energy that's being put forth to building relationships, building balance, when it comes to justice energy, and when it comes to law and order too. There's a lot of exalted energies here. You could be a security guard with this placement. Could be a police officer. Could be a chief. Whatever. You could be the governor in a lot of different ways. But with this whole energy of Saturn being exalted in your area of life of the 7th house, it creates energies where there might be too much restriction from other people too on how you relate, because Saturn deals with restrictions too, and the 7th house is dealing with relationships. And it also deals with, like I said, law and order, and it deals with contracts too. So there's a lot of energy in this area too. You may create too many relationships to the point where like you actually end up having an unstructured life and everything when you have Saturn in the 7th house. With Saturn being in the 8th house. When you have Saturn in the 8th house, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of restriction when it comes to things that are behind closed doors and the occult and deep occult knowledge, mysticism and everything like that. Things that are unseen, death in a lot of different ways, and the ability to be reborn emotionally, physically in a lot of different ways. And birth, death, and regeneration, and also sexual energy too. With Saturn being here, there's a restriction in this area, or there's circumstances that get played out to where other people may restrict you in how you express your passions, your deep passions, because Mars rules the 8th house. But this is water. This is a fixed water energy. This is a feeling how you feel, being able to condense your own emotions and be able to soak into your own emotions without other people interfering. There could be a lot of restriction here. You may learn that you need to value other people's emotions in a lot of different ways when you have Saturn in the 8th house. But at the same time, you may be very you may have trust issues too when you have Saturn in the 8th house, because it's restrictions and it closes off the dark secret area and everything. And sometimes with Saturn in the 8th house, you may go through so many times in life where you get backstabbed so much that you just put restrictions to, people getting any closer to that deep side of yourself and everything. When you have Saturn in the 9th house, Saturn puts a restriction on the way that you see religion, the way that you see higher education, and even the way that you travel. You may be restricted in the way that you travel. Could even be dealing with like automobiles too, even though that's more so of the 3rd house. When you're traveling like cross state lines and everything like that, this could create that energy to where like a lot of like problems could occur with Saturn being in the 9th house. Doesn't mean it always has to happen. You just have to be extra prepared when you know these kind of energies and that you have these kind of energies. And like I said, there could be a restriction and there could be a structure even when it comes to religion. You may build your own church. You may build your own school. Create a foundation, Saturn. But you may restrict other people's ways of how they see education and how they see religious aspects too. You may down other people's religions, and you may restrict how other people express their religious beliefs when you have Saturn in the 9th house. Be careful of that. When you have Saturn in the 10th house, Saturn is at home in the 10th house. So it's comfortable building a status. It's comfortable building foundation and building a blueprint for a business to be executed, for this to help out the public in a lot of ways, because the 10th and the 11th house, which the 11th house deals with the public, are right beside each other. So they're very much interconnected in a lot of different ways. So Saturn can build a blueprint to build a status and build a career, to develop comfortability, aka the 4th house, and build structure. So this is like an easy placement, but when you have placements like this, you have to understand that you have great responsibility at the same time. Don't be lazy, and don't just be comfortable with the fact that you know how to come up with the best practical ideas, or that you know how to draw out the blueprint and everything. You got to always be able to execute this and practice this at all times, esoterically, at the same time. Don't ever sleep on your gifts. Trust me. Now, Saturn in the 11th house. Saturn is home here too. This is the Aquarius house, the fixed air house. This is dealing with associations. This is dealing with technology. This is dealing with the things that you're associated with. These aren't necessarily people that are your friends or people that you relate to. These are people that you just deal with, that you see out when you go downtown or just go out in the public. So when you have Saturn in the 11th house, that's what happens. You're very structured in this area too. You come up with the best ideas in your association. And you may be a little stubborn and you may be very arrogant in the way that you go about it, but you know that you have this energy like, okay, I'm always right when it comes to this energy. And you just know how to build foundation. You know how to build an association to where people can gravitate towards this and you can all fight towards a cause. And you will be seen as like the leader in this energy. But you have to not restrict other people too. You have to not be very bossy when you have this energy too, with Saturn being in the 11th house. Because you could be too hard with the people you're associated with, and you may become too distant. And since these people aren't close to you, they have an easier and more of a reason to detach and cut that attachment from y'all. Saturn in the 12th house. There's a restriction when it comes to dreams. There's a restriction when it comes to creativity. And other people may like stop you from expressing your creative aspects or your dreams, or people may see that you're in la la land constantly half the time. So you have to be careful with that energy too when you have Saturn in the 12th house. You have to make sure that you don't get so lost in an illusion that this illusion appears to be your foundation in life and you see reality through basically subconscious, only the subconscious, which is okay, but you have to use the subconscious to build the conscious realm, which is structure, Earth. And I love y'all, and y'all stay tuned for the next video. All right, peace out.